Hi friends, welcome to Caleb's Story Shelf, where every story is a brand new adventure. I'm Caleb, your storyteller, and I'm so glad you're here because today's story is full of fun and twists, so buckle up your imaginations and let's begin. In the intricate fabric of life, where vibrant threads of dreams and creativity are tightly woven, there often lies a hidden snare, subtle, persistent, and deeply corrosive: comparison. Like a silent thief, it creeps into the heart, distorting vision, eroding confidence, and dulling the brilliance of originality. It whispers that we are not enough, that someone else is always better, brighter, more deserving. And before we know it, our joy is eclipsed by the shadow of someone else's light. In the bustling city of Matilda, where ambition surged through the veins of its creative elite, lived a man named James Ryan. A visionary by nature and the formidable owner of Tyler Media, the largest television and advertising empire in the region, James was a symbol of success to many. Yet behind the polished image and executive power there resided a quiet storm, a deep internal struggle that even he couldn't name at first. Despite his accomplishments, James often found himself peering into the work of others. Artists, storytellers, and directors, their brilliance seemed effortless. Their ideas shimmered with ingenuity and their voices rang clear with purpose. And slowly envy took root. What had once been admiration became a corrosive longing to match, mirror, or outshine them. He studied their work, obsessively dissecting every detail as though the key to their success was hidden in plain sight. He mimicked their styles, adopted their themes, and reshaped his creative voice to align with theirs. But with every attempt to emulate, something in him dimmed. His once bold and original spark waned, buried beneath layers of imitation. His work began to suffer, not in polish but in soul. There was a lifelessness in his creations, a lack of resonance that even he couldn't deny. The applause he once craved now sounded hollow, disconnected from the person he truly was. Comparison had transformed his ambition into a race. He could never win a game where joy was always just unreachable. Worse still, a quiet bitterness began to brew. He found himself measuring his worth by the failures of others, secretly hoping for their missteps so he might feel a little taller in their shadow. And in that toxic cycle, his energy dwindled. What once ignited his mornings now felt like a burden. But life has a way of offering quiet revelations, often when we least expect them. One evening, after a long day filled with hollow meetings and unfulfilled checklists, James stood alone on the rooftop of his office building. The city lights twinkled below like scattered stars, indifferent to his inner chaos. In that stillness, a thought rose gently, like dawn breaking through the night. What if I stopped trying to be someone else? What if I simply returned to being me? It was a simple question, but its weight was enormous. In the days that followed, James began to peel back the layers of expectation he had so carefully built. He turned off the noise of social media and industry chatter. He revisited old sketches, half-written scripts, and childhood ideas, the ones that once made his heart race with excitement. Furthermore, he gave himself permission to create for joy, not approval. His studio, once a battleground of comparison, became a sanctuary of exploration. He painted, filmed, wrote, not for awards but for the sheer pleasure of expression. And slowly he began to heal. He embraced imperfection, recognizing that it was not a flaw but a fingerprint of his authenticity. Mistakes became lessons, not indictments. Self-compassion replaced criticism. He nurtured a growth mindset, one that saw failure not as defeat but as a step forward in a journey of becoming. And with that transformation, James rediscovered his voice. His work pulsed with life again, raw, real, and unmistakably his. Audiences noticed not because it mirrored others, but because it was different. It was honest. In time, James no longer needed the validation of others to feel worthy. The applause that mattered most came from within. His fulfillment no longer hinged on fleeting comparisons, but on the quiet certainty that he was walking his path at his pace. He would often say to those around him, "Comparison is a pervasive influence, yes, but it does not have to define us." When we choose authenticity over imitation and self-acceptance over self-judgment, we unleash a creativity that is boundless, powerful, and deeply true. And so, in the grand tapestry of life, James Ryan became a thread that shimmered not because it was the brightest, but because it was unmistakably his own. A reminder to all who saw his journey that it is not in the echo of others that we find our purpose, but in the clarity of our own radiant voice. And that's the end of today's tale on Caleb's Story Shelf. I hope it made you smile, wonder, or maybe even dream a little bigger. If you had fun, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps more awesome story lovers like you find their way here. Until next time, keep imagining, keep exploring, and keep being outstanding.